Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Today's Monday, June 12th. It is 6:20 right now. Market's going to open in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick and we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. It's got a couple of things here to update. And we should be good to go. All right, looks good. Good. And I think we are good to go. All right, guys. So I'll get a few moments for people to make their way. I'm going to send this link out to you guys here in the premium, and then we'll get started shortly with our analysis for this session. All right, links being sent out right now. All right, perfect. Looks like people are on their way in. So let's get a few moments for people to join, and we will get started shortly. Looks good. All right, guys. Morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Today's Monday, June 12th. It is 6:22 right now. Market's going to open in about 8 minutes. Looks like people are still making their way in. So as people join in, I'm going to go ahead and start marking up areas of liquidity here so that we can get this all set up. And I'll try to get the overall bias marked up as well before market open. So let's go ahead and mark stuff up here as we get started. All right, so we got the first level right here. This is going to be daily liquidity. Another level right here. Oh, right here. Here, and let's make one more over here. I don't think price is going to get anywhere farther than this, so at least not during our live session. Measuring it from where price is currently at, yeah, I doubt it. It's 2,000 pips. Let's go down to the 8-hour. Right there. There. So I think this week might be bullish, guys. We do have Fed news this Wednesday, and so we'll see a pause on the interest rate hike. So we'll see how that plays out. I'll take a look at the news as well shortly, but today there is a decent amount of news. So hopefully that'll work out in our favor with the increased volatility compared to last week. That was the 1 hour. see. A lot of these are kind of overlapping a little bit, which is fine. A lot of this is due to the market conditions last week. If you guys remember, the market was very choppy last week. So I'm seeing a lot of these liquidity levels of liquidity kind of overlapping a little bit, which is kind of normal. It's not a huge deal. They might look a bit closer than they really are. Right. All right, let's go down to the 15. So this is where it's getting a little more messier. As you guys can see, as we get closer to the lower time frames, a lot of this mess was like pretty much left over from last week. So I don't know if I'm going to give too much weight on lower liquidity, because obviously you guys can see here that it's very messy when it gets down to these lower levels. I mean, we'll look at them, but they're probably not going to be one of the main ones that I'll be looking for entry, because you guys can see that the liquidity, there's just so much liquidity here. It's hard to tell what's good and what's not, right? Because typically there's not supposed to be this much liquidity in one area. And generally, we don't have these many levels like so lined up so close to each other. All right, so I think this might be it for all levels here. It's perfect. We got way more than enough already to begin with. Let's go down to 1 minute. All right, so taking a look at this right here, we have liquidity in basically both areas right here. We have liquidity to a sell down here. I think price will be bullish though, so I don't know if I'll really be looking for a buy necessarily, but we'll see. So looking over here, the shorter time frames, as you guys can see, is pretty much neutral. It's either bearish, neutral, because for 1 minute here is bearish, 5 minutes in between, 10 minutes in between. The higher time frames are still very bullish, so I think overall price will be bullish long term, but I think short term price is pretty much neutral at the moment. Looking over here at the fundamentals are currently at 51 points. Retail sentiment over here is currently 62% short. So long-term bias is definitely going to be bullish. You can see here that price should be going up. So my preference would be for a buy. Price may come down a little bit right here. Price does hit this lower liquidity. This is a 15-minute liquidity, very weak liquidity zone. So if you were to go for something like this, I probably would only go for like 100 pips. The one above here is a lot stronger. You have 15-minute liquidity and a 2-hour liquidity up there. So it's just really up to preference, guys. You guys got to choose what you would like to take. For me personally, if I was to take the sell, I would probably only go for 100 pips. I might not even take it. I'll let you know how I feel when the market actually opens. It just depends on how market movement is, right? You might get some open manipulation, because today is Monday. Mondays and Fridays are full of manipulation. Or you just might get like a fake out down here and then correction back to the upside. So we'll see what happens in a few when the market opens shortly, and then we'll take it as is the market opens. So I'm probably not really going to look for a sell too much here, but I mean, if it does come down, it's probably going to be like a decent, 100 pip push to the downside, if anything. So we'll see where this goes. There we go. As price pushes up a little bit. If price gets a little too overextended, like price pushes straight up and doesn't come down at all, probably gonna wait for that retracement. Because right here is a big push from where price is currently at up until that point, 400 pips. So market is now open, guys. Let's see where this ends up pushing to. As I mentioned, bias right now is bullish. So my preference would be to take a buy. But again, you don't want to take it if it pushes up like directly. You want price to maybe push up a little bit, retrace a little bit, and then push up further. You don't want to just push straight through, because if it pushes straight through, it's probably going to pull back a little bit for retracement, and then it's going to push back and then blast right through. But our bias here is looking like a buy. So market is now open, guys. You guys can see a lot of unusual movement right here on open, because the market is opening from the weekend. Typically Mondays are full of manipulation because people are re-entering from the weekend. Same with Fridays, people are exiting from the weekend. So just be a little careful with your entries here. Still looking for price hit liquidity up top. See where this ends up going through here. So this candle is a little strong. I might have to wait for it to pull back a little bit. I kind of want this to pull back a little bit and not necessarily close just yet. Got about 30 seconds left on the candle there. Let's see, 20 seconds left. About 15 seconds left on this candle. I don't want it to hit on this candle necessarily, because as I mentioned, it's probably gonna have to retrace back a little bit. 10 seconds left on this candle. All right, so let's see where this ends up going now. So this is a retracement I was looking for. This is perfect. I actually wanted this to happen right here. As it swings up, I'll look for that entry to take the buy for liquidity. I'll probably be moving my stop loss up in profit as soon as I make it in profit, because the movement right here is a bit choppy. All right, it's going for this to push up a little bit. Not quite. There goes its liquidity right there. See if so I didn't get into it yet, guys. I'm gonna get into it right now as price pushes back up. As I mentioned, I waited for it to push up a little bit. I was gonna try to enter right away, but I didn't get in immediately. I'm gonna put my buy stop right there, catch it as it pushes up. And then I'm gonna try to adjust my stop loss and profit as price pushes further. Let's see where we're at. So I'm not in it yet, guys. I'm waiting for it to push back up. I just didn't want to get into early because, sometimes price will get really close to this area and it'll come back down. So I'm just waiting for right here to come back up. Let me watching on my end over here. Just a waiting game now at this point. Waiting for it to come back up and fill my order. Hasn't filled it yet. A lot of choppiness today. I do think price will push up eventually, so I might just leave that pending order there. And then if it takes too long, I might even just go for 100 pips if that's the case, but we'll see. I'm still planning on adjusting my TP in profit or my stop loss in profit when it does push up and fill. Hasn't filled yet. Let's see. Still hasn't filled yet. Okay, I'm in the position now. All right, it's pushing up in profit. Let's see what's this thing doesn't have much push behind it. Let's see where it's at. So I'm going to shake that on here. All right, just watching it, seeing where it goes. That 15-minute liquidity is not a very strong point, as you guys can see. Fuck, I got kicked out of that position. All right, so I take a loss on that trade, guys. It's okay. This is what I was kind of worried about, these 15-minute liquidity points, because I mentioned that they weren't going to be very strong, but it's all good. I should have went for the 100 pips, but I wanted to go for the full, and I ended up taking a loss on that. So first loss for this this strategy in like, what was it, like 2 months now? It was bound to happen. It was about to, I mean, we had a good streak with this, but it's all good. I ate the loss on there. I'm gonna move on to the next one. Yeah, this is what I was worried about, these weak liquidity levels right here, the 15-minute, because there were so many levels that were there when you pulled up the chart, that I had a feeling that this here wasn't going to be very strong enough to push it to the next level. So it's all good. Eat the loss on that one, move on to the next one. This strategy has been pretty solid though. So it's been, I think, since May, all month of May, and then first week of June, no losses off this strategy. It was bound to happen eventually. So on to the next one. Let's see if we could find one more here to recover from that there. Actually, I had to close out manually because it was triggering my stop loss, and I just pulled out because I didn't want to risk it. I ended up losing a little less than what I normally would. So it's all good. Let's watch for this next one here. If we could find like a V1 variation or something. Nice. Jonathan said he moved his stop loss and profit. And he got out with slight profit. Let me see how far did it actually push up right there. I don't even think it hit my 100 pips. No. Yeah, so it still would have missed the 100 pips right there. So either way, I would have taken the loss. But it's all good. On to the next one over here. I will take a screenshot of my loss here, just to show you guys, I do lose sometimes. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen sometimes. Thankfully, I closed out a little earlier before I pulled too far. All right. So I'm gonna look for a V1 variation or something else, because I do think price will continue pushing up. It's just a matter of time until it actually does. Everything looked good for a buy today. So it's just the market moving on Monday. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back down and then it shoots all the way back up. So I'm gonna post my loss real quick. I just want to be transparent with you guys, because I know some people don't ever post losses, and some of you guys think I never lose, but I do lose every once in a while. Not very often, but it does happen from time to time. I think that was just a bad level. Probably should have skipped this 15-minute level right here, because you can see prices pushing back up. Let's see. So let's see where it ends up going from here. Let me go ahead and just post this up real quick. There's a V1 variation that just came up right there. It pushes up to that level. Sorry guys, I didn't tell you guys I took a trade there, but I did take it. V1 variation as price pushes up. That's a V1 I was looking for with my stop loss and profit. I just want to recoup this fucking loss. All right, full TP right there. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. Yes. All right, fuck yeah. Okay, so I just recouped my loss right there. I actually made profit on that. So I knew this was going to happen. Fucking fake out. It faked me out. I knew this was going to come back up and hit it. So when it had that V1 variation right there, double body, I took that for a buy. And I just made more profit on this. And there you go. See this fake, see the move right there? This is the move that we were waiting for. This is what I was actually waiting for price to fake out, come back down, and then push back up. So I just made my loss back plus profit. As you guys can see, this is like the same thing that was happening last week. I thought this was going to be over with because, I mean, this was like the same setup as last week. If you guys remember, it fakes out first, comes back down, pushes back through, and then it goes straight to full TP. So I'm going to count this as a loss. This is not going to be a win, guys, but you guys can see that my analysis here did play out. I was telling you guys after I took the loss, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if the V1 came up right here, reversal correction, and then back into our position here that would go straight to TP. And that's exactly what I was looking for. I waited for it to play out. And unfortunately, I couldn't give you guys a heads up because I didn't want you guys to have a double loss here. You know, if you guys know what you're looking for and you guys are listening to my analysis, you guys can take the trade here, like I mentioned. But I'm not going to give you guys risky trades. This here is considered risky because we already had a loss. This actually would be considered a revenge trade. So as you guys can see, even though I've been trading for a long time, I still a revenge trade. It's not like it goes away. Revenge trading does come and go, even if you've been trading as a veteran trader. However, you just get better at it. Like you're able to revenge trade, but you revenge trade in a good way. Where you can actually read the market and see where price is going. But I'm gonna count this as a loss. Don't worry, guys. I know I made my profit back, but I'm still gonna count this as a loss. So fortunately, stop loss hit on the initial entry for the Kodi push entered. Or all right, so let me just take another screenshot of my profit real quick. So you can see the next level is actually a better level right there. 2 hour, maybe like another 100 pips right there. But let me just take a screenshot of my profits. I'll show you guys that I had the loss and I had the recovery on the next one right after. And then of course some slippage on my other accounts. The only account that made profit on this was my FTMO number 1 account. My FTMO number 2 account is still negative right now. It's just down to $800, so it's not a lot. But it is, yeah, it's like kind of annoying because the slippage doesn't work. And you'll see right here, I'll show you real quick. The slippage didn't work in my favor for the loss. Oh no, yeah, it didn't work in my favor for either of the trades. Which I mean, it's super annoying. You'll see my MFF2, both of my copier accounts, or all my copier accounts. The slippage didn't work in my favor for either of the trades, only on my main account. All right, so let me just take a screenshot of this right here, and then we will continue on with our analysis for the rest of the session. All right, so there's all my accounts. You'll see my main one. I mean, the slippage actually worked in my favor, but for the copier accounts, it didn't. All right, so I typically try to lean you guys away from revenge trading, guys. But if you guys know what you're doing, you know, you guys can revenge trade as long as you use proper risk. For this specific revenge trade that I took, I changed my stop loss to 100 pips instead of the 300, so I wouldn't have a double loss. I just would have ate a small loss, and then I had the ability to take the full move. And I knew price was going to push up further. So here's the trade that we took. The trade initially lost, and then I re-entered on the V1 right here to catch that push back to the upside. I probably could have moved my TP a bit further, but I didn't. Here's my main account. You can see the green strip here. The loss here initially, I lost 5,780. And then the green strip right here was the full TP. So I made profit on the trade. I recovered the loss and then I made a little more profit on it. Here's my copier account over here. On FTMO, you can see that slippage did not work in my favor in both directions. Right here, I was supposed to lose 5,000. You can see I lost 5,070 or 5,700. And right here, I lost 6,700, an extra 1,000. And then for my win over here, I only made 5,920 when I was supposed to make 6,220. So slippage didn't work in my favor for any of my copy accounts. My XML copier right here didn't work well. My MFF over here didn't work well either. You can see it. I was only supposed to lose 3,000, ended up losing 3,600. I was supposed to make 3,000 on this trade. I only made 2,600. So slippage just didn't work in my favor. I'm still currently at a slight loss for the week so far, but it's okay. I just need one trade, and then that one trade will bring all my accounts back into profit. So not a big deal. But as you guys can see here, I just want to be 100% transparent with you guys. I did take the loss in the initial trade there. I lose sometimes, not very often, but when I do lose, I do make sure that I lose properly. And I don't trade without a stop loss. I trade with a stop loss, and I make sure that I'm able to survive and move, or I'm able to bounce back from that little loss there. So one loss, recovered on it the next trade, pretty much the same trade. I just took it when it was proper. So those are my profits for the day and for the week so far. We're going to be looking for some more entries here. I'll give you guys a longer analysis of the charts so that you guys can see the bigger picture. But for the most part, it's looking like we're going to be waiting for some buys here. So, I mean, we'll see what happens here in the next couple of moments or so. Looks like there may be a V1 variation setting up right here, but it's not necessarily, I mean, I don't know how clean it'll be for an entry, but I mean, we'll see if it ends up pushing up from this point here. Opening price is a bit up, so it may push up slightly to go from, a bit of a correction from this point. I mean, we'll see. Anyways, let me see where my opening price is, because that's going to be the target price point for price to reach. It's actually at opening price right now already. So we'll see where this ends up going. But yeah, let me see who's here so far. So let's see who's here in the room so far for the day. Morning, Ruin. Morning, Daniel. Morning, Nikki. Morning, CJ. Morning, Kenny. Morning, Saren. Morning, Ben Hartwig. Morning, Maria. Morning, Vince. Morning, guys. All right, cool. Yeah, it looks like a lot of you guys here actually took the trade from earlier. I actually took that V1 variation right there, guys, just to make my accounts back in profit. I'm not going to tell you guys trades that are risky. I was going to tell you guys to take it, but it's not one of our official strategies. And I noticed that the open price is right here. So what happened was I came to check to see if the opening price was up here, because if price was up here, then this would have been a push to the upside, right? This would have been a push to the upside to correct to that point, but opening price was already down here. So what happened was when I saw this entry right here, I didn't enter right away, but then when I marked up the opening price, I was like, okay, price is probably going to bounce off this point because it's having a reversal at open. So reversal at open with our bias, price pushed up, went straight through. And it looks like all of my accounts are back in profit except my MFFs, which MFF is starting to kind of annoy me, guys. I don't know if I really want to recommend MFF anymore. I'll show you guys my accounts right now to show you guys what I mean. It's like I didn't make any profit on the MFF, which I should have. It's kind of driving me crazy right now because all my accounts are in profit. Looks like I made like less than half profit on the MFF right now. And I'll just put a screenshot here to show you guys the V1 that I took so that you guys know. And you guys, because I know a lot of you guys like to follow through and see, where these entries are coming from, especially on my accounts. This is not going to count as an official trade. I just want to show you guys and give you guys an explanation as to, what trade I took here so that you guys know, okay, that's how I made the recovery through the V1 variation. Eventually, this might be, again, one of the more official strategies that we'll be taking, but for the moment, we're going to stick to what we have right now. So just a tricky Monday, but we do have a bullish bias. That's why I'm okay with taking these buys here. Normally I wouldn't take V1 variations, but we have such a strong bullish bias. Main thing is retail sentiment. You can see the sentiment here is 62% short. Sentiment hasn't been this short in a long time. So that's why I'm more inclined on taking the buys. Also, I followed news this morning where it said, you know, rally set to resume because we're having a break right now for the interest rate hike. So there's another pivot scalp coming up right here. I'm not looking to take it right now at the moment, but there's no other entries that are available right now that are official. The only official entries that we're possibly looking for at the moment would be the high level momentum scalp, but there just hasn't been any entries for any high level momentum scalp this morning. So yeah, anyways, that's the trade that I took right there. Here are my profits across my account so far. I'm back in a profit, so I'm no longer in the negative for the day or the week. I just made everything back right now off that 1v1 variation. So I'll show you guys my and I got slippage on that trade. So I was supposed to make 2,000. I only made 1,840. Now, what a messy Monday today. But it was expected. You know, Mondays and Fridays are usually kind of messy like that. I was just really determined to make my account back in a profit, as you guys can see. And how I mentioned to you guys in the past, I don't like losing trades, guys. Like typically, if I lose a trade, I'm usually done. But if I knew I lose a trade, if I knew that I lost it due to some type of market manipulation, you know, I'm going to find a way to make it back, which I just did here. It doesn't always work out this way, but for the most part, it usually does work out in my favor, especially if I have an idea of the overall bias. That's why the bias is really important to sorry guys, I had to sneeze real quick. All right, I'm just going to take a screenshot of my profits, guys, and then I promise we will take a full analysis of the charts real quick. It just takes me forever to screenshot everything because all my accounts are slightly different. Okay. So a lot of slippage across my accounts here. All right, let me just post these up real quick. You know, I haven't had a messy trading day like this in a while. At this point, I'm just going to be a little more careful with my entries because I don't want to get caught in any traps here. Seems like a lot of traps are getting set up today. I probably wait for a retracement back down, look for another V1 variation back to the upside or a high level momentum scalp. So anyways, here's my main account. You can see the green strips here where I hit my TP. So this is my main account. First loss this morning for the liquidity push on open, made the re-entry right here on the V1. And then I took another V1 variation right here. Total profit of 2,280 for the day on my main account. Here's my second FTMO, my copier. Total profit of 1,180, made 2,000 on that last trade as well. Here's my MFF. Lots of slippage right here. I'm down 310 on this account. Obviously slippage on pretty much every single trade. And then here's my last MFF right here. I'm only down 260. Made a little more profit there. I was supposed to make 1,000. Still some slippage. But I'm only down like I'm down like less than $100 now for the day. Or no, I'm not even down at all. I'm down less than $100 on my FTMOs. Sorry, my MFFs, but my FTMOs here are up like about 3,000-4,000. So I'm ready back into profit. Yeah, CJ said I'm gonna chill out a bit. This market is making me seasick. Yeah, the market is not really, I mean, it's a mess today. It's been like how it was last week. I was hoping the market was smoothing out by today, but it's still pretty much messy. You can see here on the clean chart, let me just take everything off the chart. You guys can see the mess here just from these most recent candles. I'm gonna go and mark up opening price right here. And I'm going to mark up 8 o'clock. So basically from market open right here, you guys can see how crazy the market's been moving. It's been going back and forth very erratically. I mean, we do have a bullish bias, but it doesn't really mean too much here because price just keeps going back and forth. So there's a clean chart right there. As you guys can see, pretty much a big mess, lots of fake outs in both directions. But you can see whenever a V1 variation comes up from the bottom end over here, it bounces right back up. And that's where I made that's where I took the opportunities to hop back into these moves there. So I just saw Anderson's message over here. Anderson said it's a loss. You're supposed to pretend it never happened and delete the video from YouTube. I know, right? Yeah, I'll never do that. Videos will be up so you guys can learn from the losses. But yeah, no, it's funny. That's what a lot of people do on these when they typically say that they trade live. You know, I want you guys to learn from the losses and learn from the wins as well. I think learning from the losses, you actually learn a lot more. So like for the entry today, or the entry that we had here, like we knew price was going to push up. I just got in a little too early and that was my fault. So I got in a little too early, ended up getting stopped out, and then I came right back in because I knew price was going to crack back up, and then it played through. So thankfully it played out, and I just made that loss back, and now I'm back in profit for the week so far. All right, let's take a look at everyone's profits over here so far real quick. So let's see, Kenny over here took the trade earlier. He got in later. He didn't hop in right away, and he made a total profit of 910 for the day. Nice work, Kenny. So Kenny actually took the liquidity push, the same one we took, but he waited for it. He actually made profit on it without having to eat that loss. So nice work right there, Kenny. Let's see. Kenny took the other trade right here as well, V1 variation, total profit of 1,030 for the day. Nice work, Kenny. So Kenny kind of double dipped into that move, and then made even more profit. So solid work right there, Kenny. We've got Patricia over here. She got in a little early too, fortunately. So she took a pre-market trade here on one account, total profit of 1,600 for the day. And then here is Patricia's second account. She over here got in early with me. It's all good. It happens. She lost 1,300, and then she made it right back on the recovery. Total profit of 1,764 for the day. Nice work, Patricia. She got into that buy with me earlier, ate a loss. It happens. And then she took one more trade over here off the V1 variation, total profit of 2,288 for the day. So nice recovery right there, Patricia, and profit on top of it. So solid work right there. Here's Nathan. Nathan said, I'm getting too greedy again, calling it a day. So Nathan over here actually made a win on the first trade. So he made a win on the first trade. He doubled it back into it, had a loss, and then he made his way back up right here on the re-entry. And then he had a small loss right here. Total profit of 620 for the day. This loss right here was accounted for, but this right here, Nathan caught himself that he was getting a little too greedy. So he's still up for the day, 620, which is good. And, better reason for you to just call it a day. So Nathan right there is up 620, better to call it a day than to revenge trade your way down further. So we got Maria over here as well. She took the V1 variation, total profit of 570 for the day, all wins. Nice work, Maria. So she didn't take the liquidity push on open. She just waited for that V1 variation that we were looking for, took it, and she locked in 570 profit. Here's Kenneth over here. Same problem with Kenneth. He did the same thing I did. Not really a problem. He took the trade as it was supposed to be taken. Took a loss on the first trade here, recouped it on the next trade. Unfortunately, he only went for a smaller TP, so he didn't get the full. He didn't recoup the entire loss, but he did make slight profit on it, which is a good thing. So slight profit right there. Second trade right here, he hopped in again. Total, just a small loss of 370 for the day, but he did recoup majority of his loss right there. So nice work right there, Kenneth. And then Kenneth's second account, he did a little bit better here. So this over here looks like slippage worked in his favor, where his first trade right here, and I think this is his main account or his second account. So he lost 3,000 on the first trade, and then he hopped back in on the V1 variation right here. He's only down 20 bucks. So in total, Kenneth is only down about $400 for the day, which is not bad because this one win will set him back into profit. So nice work right there, Kenneth. And probably the best decision to, be a little more careful with the next trades, like I'm going to be as well. We got Natasha over here. She took a buy earlier for the liquidity push. She actually got in on the first push, but then she only went for a small TP. Total profit of 620 for the day with no losses. So nice work right there, Natasha. And we have Vincent over here. Vincent actually waited as well. So nice work right here, Vincent. He took the first entry right there, but he only went for 100 pips. So he got his full TP basically. And then he hopped back in on the V1 there, total profit of 1,145. So great work, guys. Looks like, a handful of you guys either got in right away with me and ended up taking that loss initially and then recouped it. And some of you guys just waited and didn't enter right away and ended up taking a full win for the day so far. So great work, guys, with that there. And we'll continue looking for some more trades here. We just don't have anything right now, but we will look for any other, possible entry that may come up throughout the session. But we just got to be a little careful, guys. Today's is a very risky day. I'm glad that I was able to recoup my losses and make some profit on it, but it's not the way to trade. And it's not the way that I want to teach you guys, because revenge trading can end really badly if it's not done properly. Thanks, Camo. Yeah, no, definitely. It was a nice comeback. All right, so before I get back to the chat, guys, let me just reanalyze the entire chart for you guys so that you guys have a good idea as to what's going on here. So let's go over here to the main chart. I'm going to put today's overall bias, retail sentiment. And I'll explain this in a few for you guys who are new here. Fundamental. And my spelling is all messed up today. Fundamental bias, short term, technical bias. All right, so I'm just going to put this up for you guys here so that you guys can see and have an idea of what our bias is for the day. So first off, we're going to look at retail sentiment. Looking over here at daily FX. Retail sentiment basically indicates where the retail traders are trading. So right now it's currently 62% short. This indicates that 62% of retail traders are currently selling right now. Typically what we do here is we do the opposite of all the retail traders, because the majority of retail traders aren't necessarily the best traders. As you guys know, about 10% of retail traders actually are successful. So in order for us to do that, we want to do the opposite of everybody else, right? So right here you can see it's 62% short. So we're probably going to look for buys because we want to do opposite of everybody else. So with that said, we're going to put this over here and I'll put bullish 62% short. Fundamental bias over here. I'm going to look at CNBC. And in order for me to have a fundamental bias, I need the number here to be either above or below 100 points. Right now, it's currently up 77 points. So it's somewhat bullish, but it's not necessarily bullish, right? It needs to be above 100 points and stay above there. So with that said, we're just going to say bullish neutral. So it's not bullish yet, but it is bullish neutral because it's getting close to it, but it's not necessarily there yet. So next up, we're going to look at short-term technicals. Let's go over here. Looking at the 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute time frames, you can see that price is somewhat bullish, but it's more so neutral at the moment because price is basically in between the pivots. So for the short-term bias over here, typically you want price to be above or below the pivots. You want the trend meter to be blue or red or green. And you want the pivots either to be angling up or downwards. As you can see right here, price is below the pivots on the 1 minute. So this is actually neutral bearish. The 5 minute over here, price is in between the pivots. So this is pretty much neutral as well. And here on the 10 minute, price is above the pivots, but it's starting to go in between. So with that said, I'm just going to say it's neutral right now for the short-term bias. That can change. Short-term bias changes pretty quickly. So we'll come back and take a look at that later. And then lastly, over here, long-term bias. Here on the 30 minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour time frames, you can see it's a bit more clear. You can see prices above the pivots on the 30 minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour. The trend meter down below is green, and the pivots are angling up across all time frames. So with that said, we do have a bullish bias over here for the longer time frames. So with that said, you can see today's overall bias. Retail sentiment is bullish. Fundamental bias is bullish neutral. Short-term technicals are neutral, and the long-term technical bias is bullish. So with that said, we can safely say that we might want to be focused on looking at buys today because the overall bias here is bullish. So with that said, we'll leave that as is. I'm going to go and mark up the higher high right here so that you guys have an idea of where the high point is currently. This will help you identify where the range is currently at right now, and the lower lows right here as well. So it's just in a big messy range right now, as you guys can see it. There's not really much for us to look at the moment, but obviously I'd probably be looking for some bias here if I had the opportunity to take a trade. Here's a clean chart. I'm going to do the same thing here. Mark up the higher high and mark up the lower low right here. And as you guys can see, price has been in this range since open. So market opened right here at this blue line. This is New York open price. And price has been bullish, but it's been ranging. So price is bullish because it's above opening price, but it's just been ranging back and forth between this area for, say, the past 30 minutes to an hour. And you can see price is coming back down. I wouldn't be surprised if price comes back down and then bounces off this point right here, right? If you see a V1 variation down here, you can possibly expect it to, bounce from that area. But I mean, who knows? We can't say for sure if it's going to happen, but that's what my guess would be if price does bounce from that area. Okay, here's the liquidity area over here. You can see price has not hit that 15-minute liquidity down below. And the next level of liquidity is going to be up here for a buy. It's going to be trying to see what level that is. That is a daily liquidity. So if price does push up higher, that next level up here is going to be the daily liquidity, which is a very strong liquidity point. This right here is not very strong. It's a 15-minute liquidity. So, I mean, price may come down, fake out down here at the V1 and then shoot right back up. It's just kind of messy. But this is normal for a Monday market. As I mentioned before, guys, Mondays and Fridays are typically the riskier days to trade. Monday is risky because people are re-entering the market from the weekend. Fridays are risky because people are exiting the market from the weekend. So right now you kind of have a mix of people re-entering the market. But then again, it's kind of a mess because if everybody's looking for a buy, which they're obviously not, it seems like long-term traders are looking for a buy here, but short-term traders are currently, short-term and long-term are currently on the sell side with a 62% short. But I think eventually by the end of this week, price will be bullish. The reason for that is because there's a lot of factors here indicating that price will be bullish. So looking over here today, there's not really much news. There's a federal budget balance at 11 o'clock, but that's way after our live session. For tomorrow, we have CPI month over month, CPI year over year, and core CPI. They're forecasting it to be, let's see. Yeah, so they're forecasting it to be down. I think it'll probably be either neutral or up. So they are forecasting it to be negative, which makes sense because we are going to this recession. But I think it might be better than, actually, I take that back. So the inflation news here will probably be negative, but I think the news here on Wednesday, the Fed rate, like the PPI, month over month, core PPI, Fed statement, and the Fed funds rate, it's going to stay flat. So they already mentioned that they're not going to be increasing the funds rate this month. So this is going to be flat. If that's flat, then that's good for the economy because that just means that, the inflation is going to slow down a little bit. But I mean, we'll see. If everybody's thinking for a buy, then it might not work in our favor because the market's going to be manipulated, right? If everybody's looking to take buys, they're probably going to spike price down and then shoot it back up once everyone's been stopped out. So we'll see where this ends up going, but that's pretty much the big news for this week. We have CPI, PPI, and then we have the Fed day basically on Wednesday. Thursday, we have retail sales, Empire Manufacturing Index, core retail sales, unemployment claims, etc. And all this stuff should be negative. All the news should be negative moving forward because we're getting deeper and deeper into this recession. And we got to wait for something to actually play out. That's going to help us out. There's just not any news today. There's no news today really, but everything else there is news. So there's news on Tuesday, CPI, news on Wednesday, the Fed fund rate, PPI. Thursday, we have unemployment claims, retail sales, Empire State Manufacturing Index. And then on Friday, we have prelim UOM consumer sentiment, just inflation news. This is just an inflation week where all the inflation news is coming out. I don't think it's going to be necessarily good, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be bad because Wednesday's news might pretty much balance it out since the interest rates aren't going up. Let me check my FX book real quick. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything over here. because sometimes there's news here. Okay, so there's news at 8 o'clock, consumer inflation expectations. This wouldn't matter because we'll be done trading by then, but there is a little bit of news today, nothing too high impact. And obviously the big news coming tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, which is going to be a good thing for us because obviously we want to have volatility in the market. There's another V1 variation that just came up right here, guys. It did pretty much what we just anticipated. So I mentioned if price comes down, it's probably going to bounce off the opening price, which it did right here. But the way that price is currently moving right now, you probably want to be careful. So I wasn't really too inclined to take that trade there. It pretty much did what I marked up right here, right? See where the bounces are happening? It's happening right at the opening price and this lower low level. But this is a third test. So with the third test happening right here, this might come down a little further and sit around this area before actually making this bounce up. So it's just the same pattern. This is pretty much kind of what's been happening last week. It's the same pattern. It just comes back, retest the area. And if it comes back up, it's probably going to retest the area up here. And it just keeps going back and forth. Right there, again, retesting that blue line, which is the New York open price. I'm gonna go over to the clean chart. I'm gonna mark it up over here as well. It's just a big area of manipulation right there. So this whole area here is just a big area of manipulation. It's not really a good area to trade in. So probably just want to be careful with this here. Vince, so let's see. Yeah, looks like Vince mentioned the high low earlier. Let me scroll down a little bit, make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, Hussein and Vince were mentioning the high low momentum scalp that came up at about 640 right here. The sell. So yeah, there was a higher high right there. The sell signal broke and closed past pivots 1 and 2. Candle was pretty big, but it ended up pushing through and hitting TP. It was also against the bias, so I probably wouldn't have taken it, but it looks like some of you guys here did take it and it did hit for you guys. Looking over here at the YouTube, looks like Satyam caught the trades earlier, so nice work right there. Hey, Nick. Yeah, so it looks like Nick's just following up on everything here. Satyam actually took all wins this morning. He took a 100 pip move for liquidity up top. He took 2 V1s and the high-low momentum scalp for a total profit of 400 pips for the day. Nice. Yeah, Satyam said that he got 100 pips at the opening price. Loves this move, works every time. Yeah. Yeah, it's a favorite for everybody, but you want to be a little careful when you're trading the opening. I would only trade opening if it's in the direction of bias, of course. You can see right here, price is pushing back up. So yeah, if you're looking for buy bounces from this area, or if you get a V1 variation or anything like that, then yeah, that would typically be something that I'd be looking for if that'd be the case. So it looks like the V1 variation right here finally pushed back up and hit TP. Not sure if anybody caught it right there. As I mentioned, this is just a risky area to be trading in, but there was a V1 variation right there, double body rejection, rejected directly off opening price, and then it shot right there. Yeah, it looks like Satyam again caught it. So Satyam's been killing it here with these V1 variations. He said another one, V1 for him, that's just hit. Yeah, it seems like the V1s are like hitting on point. If this is the case, then V1s might be a strategy that you guys want to look into for this week. Because it seems like there might be a lot of these fake outs and manipulation. You might want to keep away from the original moves and then look for the V1 variation for the correction back in the direction of your price. Because you can see over here, price kind of faked out a little bit, but eventually once the V1 came through, it just blasted right through a TP. Which is super solid. Nice. So Talanji said just caught that move to stop loss of profit, TP, and he's still riding it. Nice. Rick caught it as well. Sisu said he just woke up. CJ said probably should have slept in too. Market's stressing him out of it. Natasha said she's trading on her phone. She's thinking about taking better partials. Yeah, I'd be the same. I'd probably do the same. Rick here mentioned he was watching an interview with the CEO of Apex Trader Funding the other day. He said he will have trading be up by the end of the year. Just mentioning it because you had talked about hoping to find a broker who offers trading view. Yeah, no, definitely, Rick. If that's the case, that'd be great. And I'll probably get in touch with their CEO. Maybe I can piggyback off what they're doing. Because if I was to create a funding company, I would want one that's directly on TradingView because that's how we trade, right? We mainly trade on TradingView. So if I can get something directly on here, it'd be a lot easier for us. We can look for entries directly on here, and it'll be easier for everyone to just take trades, like directly on this platform. All right, so there's no other entries available right now, guys. There was no high-low momentum scalp here because this is a higher low. And it looks like it's going back into this range. So here's a clean chart over here so that you guys can see it better. As you guys can see, no movement at all. Market opened right here at 630. Price pushed up, faked out, came back down, faked out down here. It's just a bunch of fake outs in basically both directions. But you guys can see the range here is pretty clear, right? So for the past hour, basically, price has just been going sideways between these two levels right here, this upper level and this lower level. This is not the type of market that you want to trade in because all of our strategies here are based off momentum, right? So if they're based off momentum, you want price to be moving directional. So you want price to be going up, up, and up, or you want price to be going down, down, and down, right? Unless you guys are applying the SR ejection scalp, then maybe this would be okay because it's going sideways. But for the most part, you want price to be moving directional. All my strategies that I apply are all based off momentum. They're based off the trend. So if market isn't trending very much and there's not very much of a strong bias, then it's usually a sign to stay out of the market. So right now I'm being a little more patient with my entries here. As you can see, I had to make the trouble of recovering from my loss this morning because the market's been kind of all over the place. Luckily I made it back, but not looking to risk more than I need to unless I see something good. But right now you can see price is not really doing much. It's pretty much just squeezing right here, which is a good thing because if price starts to squeeze down this area, then it's just preparing for a breakout, right? Breakout's going to happen eventually. It's just a matter of time until it does. Fluidities asking what's your bias for US30. Bias is right there. It's bullish right now. So all the trades I took today were biased. So retail sentiment is currently 62% short. It's bullish. Fundamental bias is bullish neutral. It's not very strong, but it is bullish. Short-term technicals are neutral and long-term technicals are currently bullish. So it's somewhat bullish. It's not very strong bullish, but it's still bullish. It's more of a bullish neutral right now at the moment. Price isn't really doing too much. It's going sideways. So I think eventually once price starts to identify its stride, like once it hits a point where it's going to bounce off, like the bottom's obviously right here. Every time price comes down to this area, it just bounces. So I think eventually price will it'll eventually come down to this point and then actually make its stride to the upside. So it's going to keep coming down for the retest, but then eventually it's going to actually, make its way up. Looks like it tried to right here, but or it might still be making its attempt right here. It might be just like a messy move up like that. I mean, who knows? I think eventually I do think it'll push up. I think price is pretty much going to go sideways for a bit until maybe not really sideways, but it's going to keep doing this thing where it keeps ranging until Wednesday. Because Wednesday is the day with the really big news. Like tomorrow's big news for CPI, but Wednesday is Fed day. So that's when all the Fed news comes out. And I think that's what's really going to push price in a certain direction. But yeah. Right now is, it's just a bit of a mess. Just a lot of back and forth movement and not really much direction at the moment. Let's see, Saim said, Sean, no chance of liquidity at the bottom. I mean, there's liquidity right here. There's a chance of liquidity because if price keeps getting manipulated to the downside, then it might come down, knock out this liquidity right here. So you might get something like this. I mean, I'm not saying liquidity won't get hit here, but I think this is a very risky bet. I think this may happen, but I wouldn't hold it past, this level right here, because I think this will just bounce back up from that point. It'll probably come down and wipe everybody out. Because the thing is, the problem is that the bias is bullish right now, but the bigger problem is that everybody knows that price is probably going to be bullish by the end of the week. So so price may come down, but the problem is that like the upcoming news that's coming up. So like I mentioned earlier, guys, we have the Fed news here. With the Fed fund rate being stuck at neutral, everybody's going to be looking for a buy, right? So if you look over here at CNBC, like it said rally set to resume. It hasn't started yet, but it said the rally is set to resume. So US stock futures climbed Monday, coming off a 4-week winning streak. And it says coming off will offer a bevy of clues about how the Federal Reserve will handle future rate hikes in its bid to tame inflation. So the thing here is that everybody is expecting price to be bullish by the end of the week. So this isn't really beneficial for us, because if everybody thinks price is going to be bullish, then the market's going to do the opposite, right? If everybody thinks it's going to be bullish, the market will do the opposite and come down slightly, and then eventually it'll push up. I think price eventually will push up, but right now you're going to get a lot of these fake outs where it's probably going to stop out the people who are entering a little early. So, so liquidity said, guess I'm caught on retail. Been seeing sells from last Friday. Yeah, exactly. So if you look at the retail traders over here, all the retail is currently selling fluidity. It's currently 62% short. So yeah, if you're taking a sell right now, you are with retail, because all retail traders are currently taking sells. So the thing with this right here is that the retail traders are trying to outsmart the market, right? Because as I mentioned here, price says it's going to be bullish. So if it's going to be bullish, all the retail traders are like, okay, I'm going to sell then, because they're trying to outsmart the market. The problem with this here is that the market's not dumb, right? They can see where the retail traders are trading. So if everybody's selling, they might give them some hope. They might drop price down a little bit to like give them like the illusion that they're in the proper direction. And then as soon as they get close to their TP, they're just going to stop them straight out. And I'm sure you guys have seen that before, where price will come close to your TP, and then it's just like a few pips from your TP, and then it reverses on you completely, and you get super pissed off because you're like, man, I should have did something, right? Like pulled out or moved my stop loss and profit. So, it's all psychology here, guys. The problem here is that the psychology is kind of like, it's clashing right now, because I know it's weird. Before, I didn't really, like if you guys have been following a lot of the trading meme pages, a lot of people know what we're doing now. Like this stuff I've been doing this for years, but a lot of people didn't realize to look at CNBC and kind of identify, when they report something, to do the opposite. So if you look at like a lot of other groups or a lot of like things, I'm not saying that they learned it from me, but we've been doing this for years. It's not like it's not new to us, but a lot of people are trying to mimic what we're doing now, doing the opposite of the market or doing the opposite of retail. And it's kind of like making a mess, because you can see here that they're selling because they think that market's going to do opposite of CNBC, which is reporting bullish market. But people can get stopped out in both directions. Like price can come down, stop them out, and then, or this is what might happen. So price might come down a little bit, and then it'll push up to stop everybody out, like push up pretty heavy, and then come back down to pretty much grab everybody else that's down there, and then do the same thing. That's why these ranges are dangerous, because these ranges show that there's no direction in market. And when there's no direction, like the market makers and institutions can basically wipe out people on both sides. They'll wipe out people down here who are trying to buy in kind of early, and then they'll wipe out people up here who are trying to sell against the market. So it's like chess. Like if you guys ever played chess before, I don't even play chess, but I like using that analogy. You have to be 2 steps ahead of the game. Expect you have to kind of anticipate what's going to happen next. Right now, since there's a lot of retail traders on the sell side, I think price may continue to sit down here to make them think that they're going to be okay. But then eventually price is going to spike up to stop them out. Because if you do the math here, majority of people who are trading, I think the biggest stop loss they'll have is maybe 1,500 pips, right? For a day trader who's trading US30. I think this is like a big enough stop loss for them. So what might happen here is price might push up, stop them all out. Or so this is what I'm looking for. The liquidity that I'm looking for is going to be the next level up here. As you guys are aware, it's the daily liquidity. So the daily liquidity is right here. So what I could see happen here is I could see price push up to this level, basically stop everybody out, maybe push up a little further, and then come right back down. Because if you think about it, there's 62% of retail traders who are currently selling right now. And you can see right there, it just dropped. It went from 62 to now 61. Looks like people are getting scared and they're pulling out, which makes sense to me because I wouldn't take that risk. But yeah, since price is going sideways like this, it can basically stop people out on both sides, on the buy side and the sell side. And it's just, it's just a mess, guys. It's just a mess, but it's like how patient are you going to be until you make your entry? Because the thing is, you guys can it's easy for someone to just enter a trade right now. And it doesn't make much sense. It doesn't affect us too much because we're scalping, but the people who are day trading, I mean, this is a mess, right? If you're taking a trade here for buy or sell, you're going to get caught in the crossfire because if you're day trading it, you're going for a bigger TP stop loss. For us, we're just going for a quick 100 pips. So it doesn't necessarily affect us too much. That's why I like scalping, because we don't really get caught in the mess. Like we see a V1 variation right here, like Satyam just caught. There's actually no V1 that was here, Satyam, because there was no pending momentum, but that was a V1 pattern. V1 pattern, but not a V1 variation. But I mean, it's doing the same thing. As you guys can see down here, I've mentioned this pretty much all session. Whenever price gets down to this area here, it just bounces. Price got down right there, bounce, price got down right there, bounce, price got down right there. It just keeps bouncing off this level right here. And it's not really having too much luck getting past it. But there hasn't been any entries, guys, so don't worry. You guys are not missing out on anything. There is no high low momentum scalps right now. In order for us to have one, we need a higher high or a lower low. There hasn't been a higher high or lower low since like 640. So about 30 minutes to an hour ago. Since there's been a move. Liquidity down here still hasn't been hit. And the daily liquidity right here is still pretty far away. But I mean, this week should be interesting. Kind of curious to see how this ends up playing through, but it is it's messy to say the least. And you can see here on the clean charts, a lot easier to see. Here's some more profits from Patricia. She said she took that V1 push to the upside. She took two of them actually. Total profit of 3,300 on this account. So nice work right there, Patricia. Jonathan said rocky start to the week. Yeah, it's all good, Jonathan. So Jonathan over here, it looks like he took a sell. Not sure why he took the sell, but he took the sell right there. But it's all good. I mean, he bounced back from it slightly. I thought you took this from the buy earlier, but he actually took a sell the opposite way. So Jonathan here took a small win off the liquidity push, took a sell right here on the way back down. I guess he was looking for a V1 variation, took a loss there, and then he took the V1 variation back to the upside in the direction of bias for he's down currently 1,000 for the week, but it's not that bad because he just needs one trade to bounce back. Anything else over here? I think that's it for the moment. Yeah, it's just I'm just hoping the market doesn't stay like this throughout the rest of the week. I'm fine with it being like this for Monday, but for the next couple of days of the trading week, I'm hoping we get more of a correction. Let's see. Looks like Apple's releasing a new MacBook. Nice. They're bringing back the colors. Looks like there's a black MacBook again. All right, so just some news right there. Let me see if there's anything else here for us to look at. Let's see what kind of news they got over here for the stock market. The stock rises, hope builds. Fed will pause rate hikes this week. Live updates. Yeah, so it's kind of tricky. It's going to be very tricky because if they pause rate hikes and everybody knows that, everybody's going to be looking for some buys. But at the moment, looks like people are still trying to do the opposite. They're looking for sells here because they want to catch this push to the downside before price pushes up on Wednesday. I think Wednesday price will be bullish. Other than that, I don't really see too much here. All right, price again is back at this level. This here looks like a V1 variation starting to set up right there, but it is below the opening price. So obviously something to be careful for. Yeah, looks like a V1 variation possibly setting up right here. Again. It's rejecting off the opening price though, so have to see where this ends up going. See if that bounce ends up happening again right here as price continues to push around. There was another V1 variation right there that's playing out. So it's pushing through with that buy signal. Man, this market sucks. I think it'll pick up though during the week. So right now it's kind of just, going back and forth, but I'm assuming that by Wednesday, it's actually going to start moving directional because tomorrow we have the CPI news. So that's going to push price in a direction. And then Wednesday, we have PPI news plus the Fed day. So I think by Wednesday, market should be moving somewhat directional. But if you look over here on the clean chart again, price is still just going sideways. I mean, it continuously has that bounce off that area, but for the most part, it's just a sideways move for the most part. Not too much really going on here. But yeah, basically just comes down, retests, bounces, bounces, bounces. Not really too much of a direction here. So that V1 looks like it's still running through right now. See if it continues pushing up higher, but there's not really much for us to take here. I mean, this is a V1 variation, but it's not a high level momentum scalp. So it's not necessarily one that I'm looking at too distinctly at the moment. I mean, it's just the V1s look good, but then they're also very risky because there's no direction. For the V1 variations, you have to have a bias, right? Like somewhat of a decent, strong bias in order for you to take these V1 variations because you're basically just waiting for price to push in your direction, right? You're just waiting for it to continue pushing so that you can, you're just riding the wave basically. But right now, there's not really much of a wave. Looking over here at the, at the bias, the short-term bias is pretty much bearish neutral now. It's not even bullish anymore. You can see here on the 1 minute prices below the pivots, trend meters red. Right here on the 5 minute prices below the pivots, trend meters blue. It's neutral, bearish neutral for the most part. And the 10 minute over here is currently, it's bearish as well. So not really looking too good right now with regard to the bias. There's just not much of a bias right now at the moment. So there's not even going to be one to take right now because there's no bias at the moment. Yeah, so good thing we didn't take that V1 there. I mean, it's still technically running, but not one that I would necessarily take because you need the bias here to actually be pretty strong. The bias is strong for bullet for the retail sentiment, but this is more of a long-term move. Fundamentals here are pretty much, they're pretty neutral. They're 57 points, 38 points now. So they're pretty much straight neutral at the moment. Yeah, it's not really a good market to trade in right now. All right, so we currently have a bullish bias for retail sentiment. This is more of a bigger long-term move though for retail sentiment. Fundamental bias is pretty much neutral. Short-term bias is actually bearish now. So there's actually not really much of a bias at the moment. It's pretty mixed. Retail sentiment, bullish, fundamental bias, neutral, short-term technical bias, bearish, long-term technical bias, bullish. So nothing there. Let's see. Yeah, the lower liquidity right there got hit, but this is probably going to fake out and shoot right back up. See a question from Hussein. Hussein's asking, hi Sean, did you exit manually clicking as price reaches level, or did you place a limit order in advance? Which one are you talking about, Hussein? Because I took multiple trades. So which one are you asking about? I mean, there was multiple trades, not just two trades. There was the initial trade. There was 3 trades I took, Hussein. It's 3 trades right there. So for the first one right here, this was a pending order. This was manual. This is manual. You can't put pending orders for V1 variations. It's impossible because it moves too fast. You have to enter the trade as soon as the candle closes. So these 2 right here were manual. This one was pending order, like I mentioned. So the thing with, I think, Hussein, you have to like listen to my analysis because I can tell you what I did, but I like literally told you what I was doing when I was doing it, right? So when this trade came up over here for the first one, I said, hey guys, I'm going to put a pending order there. I'm going to wait for it to hit. And I said for like 5 minutes straight, it's not going to hit. It hasn't hit yet. It hasn't hit yet. I have a pending order. So I think for you have to like understand when I'm putting a pending order, because you ask this question very often, like you're not understanding it. So for this one right here, the first one was a pending order. The V1 variations, it's impossible. You can't put a pending order because this trade right here came up and I can't put a pending order because it's already up in profit, right? So I think what you got to do, Hussein, is like really pay attention to my analysis, because this right here was obviously a pending order, the first one, right? These over here, you can't put a pending order for the V1 variations. You got to enter as soon as the candle closes. So yeah, first one was pending because that's what I said when I was waiting for it. I said price was going up right here. I was trying to enter and I said I couldn't get in right away. So I put a pending order. As soon as price came back up here, it filled the order. And then for the V2s and I mean the V1 variation that came up down here and the one that happened after, you can't put a pending order for that strategy. Strategies happens too fast. Like if you try to put a pending order, you know, the trade's going to be done in a split second. It's like a 100 pip push and it happens too quickly. So yeah, short answer to your question is yes, for the first one was pending. For the V1 variations, they weren't pending, but there was 3 entries that I took there. 2 V1 variations and 1 liquidity push right here. Yeah, no problem. But yeah, you know, like in the future, Hussein, I think you should just probably like review the videos to like understand, because if you ask and I give you the answer every time, you're never going to learn, right? You're just going to keep asking the same question every day. It's better for you to actually like review the videos and then understand it, because it's the same thing. I've been doing the same thing for like the past week. So it's not like things have changed. It's like I tell you guys, okay, I'm putting a pending order here. I couldn't get in right away. and that'll help you understand it a little better. I know that there's like a language barrier, so it's a little harder for us to like, for you to catch things right away. But I mean, my main goal is for you to actually understand this stuff, not just for me to tell you stuff every time, but for you to like be able to do it yourself. So in the future, if you see something like that, you can say, okay, this is what Sean did in the past, and this is basically what I should do because this is what he's been doing. But it just depends on the market conditions. Market conditions aren't always going to give you the opportunity to put a pending order or for you to have the luxury of, really waiting for you to think about the entry. Because things can happen like in a split second. Like I think last week I missed like 2 liquidity pushes because I was going to put a pending order and ended up going straight to TP. Like the only 2 days that I didn't put a market order, it ended up going straight to TP. All right, the price is down here right now. You can see the price is attempting to push back up. I mean, we'll see if it pushes back up in this area down here. But price did hit 15-minute liquidity. And we'll see if it continues to go down here. Looks like SIM caught the liquidity to the downside for 100 pips. Nice. Yeah, CJ said that bottom liquidity was actually pretty smooth. Yeah, it was. It went right through the 15 and it's going down to the 1 hour right now. I think this is like a really risky area to trade in because it could hit the 1 hour liquidity, but it could also just reverse back to the upside. Let me look at retail sentiment right now to see where it's currently at. It's at 61% short. So it looks like whoever's still in the sell has been holding the sell for like a pretty long time. They're finally getting the move in their direction, but I don't know if it's going to hold for very long. There goes a 1 hour liquidity right there. I think this is like a very risky entry point because or it might knock down. It might knock down and hit the other levels of liquidity, maybe these 2 right here, but the one down below is like kind of far off. Because at this point, price is like very overextended. Yeah, you can measure it from right here. So like basically the drop happened from basically up here. This is the high point. Basically like 600 pips. It's not a very big drop, but it's based off the volatility. The volatility right now is kind of slow. It's not like price is moving like, 1,000 pips here and there. It's just moving like a couple hundred pips here and there per candle. So look at this right here. V1 variation, possibly a pushback to the upside from where it's currently at. I mean, this can really go either way. The V1 right there. So this might be the correction back to the upside now. Yeah, CJ said, hope this V1, this pending V1 hits. Yeah, I mean, it could be a possibility. Because the correction back to the upside is bound to happen. That's kind of what I see happening here as well. It's just a messy market. As you guys can see, there's not really too much going on here. Price is at this lower level, but it's not really doing much. It's either going to correct back up or it's going to come down further to hit the next level of liquidity. But it looks like the liquidity might be done where it's currently at, but I don't know. Price is kind of just going sideways right here. Typically, if it hits liquidity like that, like a 1 hour liquidity, it should continue dropping, right? But it's not doing that right now. Looks like it's faking out and correcting back to the upside. Which is kind of what I would expect to happen. Because if the 1 hour liquidity down there was strong enough, it should have, it should have just kept dropping further. But I'm not really looking to mess with this market. The market's just, I mean, you guys can see it's not really moving too smoothly right now. All right, let's see. Visual mentioned retail sentiment only matters if you were swing trading. As you can see, price dropped over 1,000 pips from the top. So for scalping, it really does not matter. I can say the opposite. I've been doing this for years now, visual, and you've been here seeing this. So I do think it does matter. As I mentioned, it's not the biggest factor, but it does matter because if you have a bullish bias for retail sentiment and you have a bullish bias for fundamentals and short term, then yeah, it does matter, right? Because if you have a fundamental bias here and it's up like 100 points and your short term technicals are like bullish neutral, wouldn't retail sentiment matter? Because you're looking for a bullish bias long term. So everything kind of, they all like have its own factor when identifying the bias. So yeah, of course, if you're just doing retail sentiment, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. That's why we have different levels here, right? But if your retail sentiment is bullish, then you should obviously look for bullish confirmation on the fundamental and short technical side. It's the same with long-term technicals, right? Your long-term technical is not going to matter for short-term moves, but if you tie it in with your short-term technicals with long-term, it has relevance. So, I mean, it's to each to one's own, right? If you think it's irrelevant, then it's relevant, but we've been using it for how long now? And it's been pretty relevant for us. It's up to preference. So, I mean, if you guys want to completely stop using retail sentiment, by all means, go ahead and stop using it. But I think it's useful even for scalping because it does give you a bigger picture when looking at where to trade. Like, I'm not going to trade for sells, or I'm not going to look like my bias is going to be bullish because retail sentiment's bullish. And then once the fundamentals and short-term technicals line up, I'm going to look for entries. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just, it's up to preference. Everyone has their own preference in using it, but I don't think it's necessarily irrelevant for short-term trading. Let's see. Sisuk said, yeah, it's not the kind of day to go hard. Patience is everything. And that V1 you called would have hit, I think. Yeah, I think the V1 played out down here, guys, from this lower end. I think it probably should have hit already by now. V1 variation right here. Yeah, it already went through TP. So if you guys caught it, great. If you guys didn't, it's okay. I'm not necessarily looking to take anything right now because the market's not really doing too much. I mean, price did break down past its level, but even at that, price is still kind of, well, now price just created a new level. So price was around here, it broke below, and then now it's just ranging down below here. So this is the new lower low. And it's just the same thing, but from a lower level now. So if you guys are looking for a correction to the upside, opening price would be the target price point, but as you guys can see from the current candles, there's not really too much going on here. There is, I mean, it's just going sideways. It's basically doing what it was doing earlier, but at a lower level. So this is the same type of market that was happening last week. If you guys remember, it goes from range, consolidation, breakout, back into consolidation. So if this does break back up to the upside, you can see how price is consolidating right here. If price pushes back up, it's probably gonna push up to the area and then go right back into consolidation. It's just, back and forth continuation of the same movements. So there, if you guys are looking for a correction back to the upside, this is gonna be the target price point. And then I think when price, if and when it does reach that point, it's just gonna go back into consolidation again. It's obviously consolidating right here. So once it breaks out of this area, it's going to go into another area of consolidation, which hasn't really established yet. See if I'm missing anything here. Yeah, this thing's kind of like, there's just not much going on right now. So, all right, 7:50 right now, guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, just a reminder, we are having our mentoring session today. And just another reminder, guys, I don't know if you guys saw the message in the group, but I put that I will be doing one-on-one mentoring sessions for people with access to the strategies and indicators like we've done in the past. I don't know how long I'll be doing this for, I guess until I get tired of it. I do like mentoring you guys, but as you guys are aware, it does get it gets very exhausting and mentally draining. So since we're going to the slow season in the summer, I'm pretty much offering everybody who has access to the indicators and the strategies a one-on-one mentoring session. So oops, let me just delete this real quick. So yeah, basically, I'm opening up to pretty much everybody who, and there's another entry here. Sorry, guys, I totally missed this one, but it was kind of a messy move. I wasn't looking to take any entries at this point, but there was an entry right here. Vince just mentioned a high-low momentum scalp. Not sure if you caught it, Hussein, because I know this is one that you're looking for. There was a lower low right here. It wasn't necessarily a direct push to the upside because it went sideways for a bit. And then this breakout right here provided that push to the upside, which allowed for the high-low momentum scalp. So I don't know if anybody caught this. I'm not going to count it as a trade, obviously, because I didn't take it, but there was a high-low momentum scalp right there. So this is one of the main strategies that we apply. It just doesn't happen too often lately because price has been going sideways. This is more of a directional type strategy. So lower low is right there. This candle broke and closed past pivots 1 and 2, and then it pushed up from that point there to full TP. I didn't take the trade. Looks like Vince caught it, so that's good. But other than that, yeah, I don't think there's much else for us to really look at or take right now. It looks like the range is now down below this level. As you guys can see, we had this level here drawn up from earlier this morning. And this looks like this is now the new range. Yeah, pretty much this is the new range now, as it continues to move along from this area. Here's a clean chart. Yeah, so this looks like the new range down here. And I'll just keep going back and forth from this area. But yeah, guys, just a reminder, we're having our mentoring session later today at 2 p.m. So if you guys want to attend that session, come back to the YouTube channel. If you guys are new here and you guys want access to these indicators and strategies, just click on unlock your free access on our website, kodikaitrades.com. If you guys just want access to the live streams on YouTube, just click on this button right here, get access to the live streams. It'll take you to the YouTube channel. Just make sure that you have your you subscribe and you turn on notifications. I'll be going live again later today in about 6 hours for the mentoring session, where I'll be answering questions directly with our members here, whether you guys are in the premium or whether you guys are in the public. It doesn't matter. I'll answer questions for everybody here. Other than that, I think that might be it. So guys, just a reminder, if you guys have access to the indicators and the strategies, if you guys want to book a one-on-one mentoring session with me, just let me know and I'll help you with whatever you need help with, whether it's one of the strategies or whether it's your own strategy and you need help improving it using my indicators. So I'm here to help you guys out, right? I'm here to help you guys out. I'm going to try to do these one-on-one sessions for as long as I can. Once it becomes a little too much for me or a little more overwhelming, we're just going to cut it off again. And then maybe in the future, I'll bring it back, but I mean, who knows? We'll see. All right, guys, I think that's it for now. Thanks, everyone. And I think those are all the questions. So yeah, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to message me. You guys can message me on Telegram. Another thing, guys, I'm never going to message you guys first, right? So Hussein here posted this message from the scammer, basically just copying my screenshot and my name. You guys can see here that the username is wrong. So the first thing that you guys want to do whenever you guys get a message from someone you think is me, I'm never going to message you first. That's the first red flag. I'll never message you first. So if you do get a message from me, click on my name and make sure that it says Kodi Kai Trades, not Kodi Kai _ trades or Kodi Kai's trades or Kodi's Kai or some dumb name like that. It's not going to say anything like that. Also, another red flag is that when they send you a message, read their message out loud. Hey, Hussein, are you having any difficulty with the indicators? I'll never ask you something like that. That's just a dumb question. I'm never going to ask you if you have difficulty with it. And then also, if you continue reading it, I will be having some one-on-one mentoring session. Their English is usually off, right? So you just read it out loud. This is plural, guys. Mentoring session. It's not mentoring session. I will be having some one-on-one mentoring sessions The scammer's probably watching this live stream and is going to try to fix their grammar, but their grammar's probably still going to be off. So just keep that in mind when you guys are like, whenever you guys get a message. First red flag is I'll never message you first. Like I'll never go out of my way to message you like, hey, how's it doing? How's it going? How's your trading going? I'll never message you. Next, you just want to make sure that you click on it, read the username. My username is Kodi Kai Trades. So all in one word, Kodi Kai Trades. No underscore, no Kodis, no Kais, no trade Sers or anything like that. And then also, I'll never ask for payment. So if you guys saw, I think last week, and here's another red flag. So they said that they were going to trade during Asia. I never recommend you guys trade during Asia. So that's like another huge red flag right there. I'll never recommend that you guys trade Asia. I'll never message you first. I'll never ask you for Bitcoin or any of that stuff. If you guys are ever signing up for anything, go to the website, right? Because if you guys pay for anything through the website, you guys can always get your money back, right? Don't send anybody any Zelle. Don't send anybody any Bitcoin, any of that stuff. I mean, it's just crazy. I've been doing this for so long now, and they try to get more and more creative. But if you guys are just like more assertive and you guys understand this, just remember, I'll never message you first. That's going to be the number one thing. Yeah, Sisu said every day for the last 5 years, I never had Sean send me a message. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Yeah, and Sisuk's like one of our oldest members. I never message him and ask him how his day's going or how his life's going. So if I'm not messaging Sisu, I'm probably not going to be messaging you. So just keep that in mind, guys. I'll respond to your messages. If you're asking me how I'm doing, then yeah, I'll tell you how I'm doing and I'll ask you how you're doing. But I'm never going to just message you out of the blue and say, hey, is your trading still sucking or something like that? Because they send like some of the most random messages, and people fall for it, which is unfortunate. So, all right, guys, I think that's enough ranting for the day. It's about to be 8 o'clock. If there's anything else that you guys need, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I'll see you guys back here in about 6 hours for the mentoring session. And if not, I will see you guys back here tomorrow for the next live session. Hopefully you have a smoother market. But if not, we'll take it day by day and we will try to take profits where we can. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your day and I'll see you guys.